Hello and welcome to the Gameweek 27 episode of Stick to FPL, your home for all fantasy football content.
You just made up a new intro for us.
Sometimes you have to, go with things on the fly.
Okay. Yeah, all right, fine. This is now people's home for FPL, apparently.
Yes. This is where your house is.
Okay, well, home is where the heart is, and my heart is certainly with this show, it has to be said. Well, what have we got coming up on this show? I suppose we're going to be talking about fixtures and chip strategy today. What else have we got, Sim?
We're going to be talking about Mr. Cole Palmer and whether or not he's a captaincy option for this game week.
I think he could be. We're also going to be doing forwards as well, having a look at Cunha, Marmoush, some of the other guys that I think a few people have got their eye on this week. So let's get going. Game week 27. It's been a while. We unfortunately did miss Game Week 26 episode because Sim was in sunny New York. Was New York sunny?
It was freezing.
Was it really?
It was freezing and it smelt of urine.
Wow.
Yes.
Sounds like my FPL season too. Freezing, no hot streaks. Definitely smells of urine.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you do want a hot streak and don't want your team to smell of urine, go check out Fantasy Football Hub.
Are they going to be happy with us saying that? Like, for their slogan, yeah, if you don't want your team to smell like urine, download Fantasy Football Hub. Are they going to be happy with that?
Listen, at this point, they'll accept what they get. Anyway, Fantasy Football Hub helping you do everything that you need to get those green arrows, really looking into the data, really looking into all the nitty-gritty pieces of information that you need to help you become a successful FPL manager. Still a 7-day free trial if you want to check it out, so feel free to do so.
Yes, link in the link tree in the description if you want to download the app or just use the website. Either one work perfectly depending on what you guys want to do. Of course, all of the stats in today's video will also be provided by Fantasy Football Hub, so big shout out to them.
Awesome. And a quick reminder, make sure you check us out on all social platforms. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
Yes.
We're on everywhere. If you're listening on YouTube, please do subscribe. Really helps us out. And if you're on any of the audio platforms, 5-star reviews, follows, anything that you can do definitely helps us.
Massively appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for the continued support. So let's get stuck in with the fixtures. So new fixture ticker. Since the last episode, we have had the Game Week 32 double game week announcement of Crystal Palace and Newcastle and Crystal Palace, should I say, who are both going to be doubling in 32. So I think a lot of people have got one eye on that one at the moment, particularly if you are maybe free hitting in Game Week 29. You might even be thinking about trying to load up on some of these players now, getting ahead of the game a little bit. To make sure you are prepared for Game Week 32. But aside from that, a lot of other people will be wildcarding somewhere between 30 and 32 as well, in which case we're really looking at the next 3-4 game weeks for targeting players. So we've got the fixtures in alphabetical order today. There are a few teams that I think really do stand out with some fabulous fixtures, really nice run. And in particular, I would say Wolves look brilliant if you are not going to use a free hit in Game Week 29. And we will cover, chip strategy a little bit in a few minutes, but certainly Wolves straight away, that looks good. Fulham up next at home, then Everton at home, Southampton, West Ham, Ipswich, and Spurs in 32. This is like one of the best runs you can get, I would say.
It is the best run. And Wolves tend to have like a few of these every season. I think this is definitely the second one they have this season.
Yeah, it's been weird. Wolves' fixtures seem to be arranged where they play a bunch of easy fixtures, then a bunch of difficult ones, then a bunch of easy ones in like little segments with no like runs of mixed fixtures. So it might be Wolves o'clock.
It's interesting. The obvious other one is Crystal Palace.
Yes.
Which is a very tricky one to navigate for people who are not going to free hit in Game Week 29. But Aston Villa at home, Ipswich at home, blank, Southampton away, Brighton away, Brighton at home, and then a double game week, which is, in reality, the same number of fixtures as any other team.
Yes, for sure.
But there's a blank in Game Week 29.
Yeah. So I think it's a case of, if we're looking at the best fixtures and the best teams to target with our transfers right now, if you're not free hitting, Wolves look like the play. But if you are free hitting, Crystal Palace definitely look like the play, trying to load up a little bit there. I think those are the two standout runs of fixtures. Outside of that, I think Bournemouth has still got decent fixtures. And we will talk about Bournemouth because I think there is some stuff to talk about there. But Brighton next, Spurs, Brentford, Ipswich, West Ham and Fulham in 32. So that's pretty decent. And I don't really know who else really has a good fixture run. Maybe City, potentially?
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Spurs, Forest, Brighton, Leicester, United and Crystal Palace. But it is not the City that we know and love. It is a currently Haaland-less, to an extent, De Bruyne-less.
Yeah.
I mean, the spirit of De Bruyne is not with them, even though the man is there himself. And just a big lack of options to consider there. I think there's probably one who we'll talk about later on in Marmoush, but defensively, they don't look right. Attacking-wise, they haven't looked right for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Haaland isn't really going to be on the menu, so it's a tricky one. And the next two don't feel brilliant, with Spurs being their bogey team and Forest being most people's bogey team.
Well, yeah, you say that, but Forest have actually been pretty poor recently. I think they've conceded... I better probably verify this before saying it as fact, but I think they've conceded something like 15 goals in 6 game weeks, something crazy like that. They are genuinely... They've dropped off a cliff defensively. Let's go past 6 game week data on Hub here. So game week 21 to 26. Goals conceded 14. So only Leicester, Southampton and Ipswich are worse than them in that 6 game week period.
I mean,
who saw that coming, by the way?
To be fair, like you, that's a big change of tone. You were the Forest, biggest supporter.
Yeah.
You were...
Things have changed.
Yeah.
Move with the
they
times.
Have. They absolutely have. The fixtures have been slightly tricky over the last 5, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they have.
But you would not really be expecting Forest to concede, 4 goals in 15 minutes like they did against Newcastle. Like, they've been conceding quite a lot.
Yeah. But then they got battered by Bournemouth.
Yeah.
As well.
And then they battered Brighton after that, was it?
Yeah, out of nowhere.
And Brighton battered Bournemouth. Something along those lines. So it is Brighton battered someone and
Chelsea.
someone battered someone else.
Chelsea.
Between Bournemouth, Brighton and Forest, they all smashed each other.
I don't think
it'll be
Brighton
difficult.
played Bournemouth, but...
It'll be difficult to find. No, because Forest battered Brighton.
Yeah.
Brighton...
Haven't played... Brighton haven't played Bournemouth. They beat Chelsea 3-0.
No, Brighton got beat very badly by one of Bournemouth or Forest.
They got smashed by Forest 7-0.
There we go. So
Yeah.
Forest got smashed. Forest smashed Brighton. Bournemouth lost to Brighton.
No, they didn't play Brighton, but they did smash Forest.
Okay, maybe there's a maybe there's a thing that I'm missing here. But let's move on swiftly. Is there any team on here that you think is time to come off because of the bad fixture run?
I would say that bad fixture run. I mean, it's difficult to say because of bad fixture run, but I think Arsenal are definitely... I mean, they don't have good fixtures, but they're definitely a team that has been disappointing recently. They did struggle against Leicester, and I know ahead of the West Ham game, a lot of people were bringing in more Arsenal players, and I thought about it, but then I thought, if Arsenal are missing so many players, they're struggling against Leicester. Is this West Ham game as cut and dry as it was kind of been made out to be? And in the end, it wasn't. And I think that's probably sort of solidified the idea that Arsenal are maybe a team to start to move away from, which is going to be really frustrating for people who've recently bought players like Nwaneri, or maybe they picked up Gabriel back in the team. Trossard. Yeah, Trossard of course as well. So I know that's probably not ideal, but that is definitely a consideration right now. Even game week 29 against Chelsea aren't doing great right now, let's be real, but are we confident enough in Arsenal that they can do the business at Chelsea at this moment? Perhaps not. The other teams that are maybe worth coming off are
Southampton for sure. If you got a triple up in Southampton,
it's so
I reckon
difficult to say.
with Chelsea and Liverpool coming out, probably time to start offloading a few of your Southampton players.
But it's like Southampton and Spurs, but no one has players from these teams anyway.
Yeah.
So
Newcastle's an interesting one because they've got Liverpool, they've got West Ham, and they've got a blank.
Yeah.
So the guaranteed 0 point in there. A difficult Liverpool game, granted, no, not even granted, difficult Liverpool game at Anfield.
Yeah.
And then West Ham in between. So whilst you probably will want to keep someone like an Isak, Gordon's, Halls, anyone else you got around that, Murphy's, probably offload time, if you ask me.
I think Hall would be the exception for that because a lot of people bought him for so cheap. They'll have a lot of value tied up in him. And when we go into game week 29, we hope that we'll be benching 1 or 2 defenders. If you're not free hitting, this is. You're hopefully going to bench 1 or 2 defenders. And I think Hall probably should be one of those defenders, considering that either side of that blank, we've got good fixtures as well.
So my concern there would be plenty of people have Trent.
Yeah.
So I would want to bench Salah, Trent, and Isak.
Yeah, I think that's where I disagree. Because I think I'd
come off Isak.
I'd rather I'd rather sell Trent than Hall, is what I'm saying.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because Trent, like what do you know what price you bought Trent at? Maybe 7.1?
No idea.
He's 7.5. He'll no doubt go down to 7.4, maybe even 7.3 in game week 29. You're not going to lose any value by selling Trent. And do you want Trent long term, given that he's probably not going to have any double game weeks until game week 37 at the earliest? I'll go through that later.
It's hard to get back to Trent, though.
Yeah, but so what? If you're wildcarding soon, it's going to be very easy to get back to whoever you want in the world.
That's very interesting.
Including Trent.
That wild card is probably what I overlooked. Because from my perspective, I would definitely want Trent for Southampton. It's the same reason why I'm probably going to keep Gakpo this week. But we'll get into that later on. I would ideally want to bench Trent, Salah, and Isak, and then walk into Everton at home for Trent and Salah. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to wildcard in 31. I may even pull the trigger at 30 with my team sort of kind of struggling. Well, it's not struggling in points, but it's struggling in how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But so no, that's a really good point. It's not going to be that challenging to bring him back if you're going to wildcard.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't want to lose the Southampton game.
No, but you don't have to lose the Southampton game. You can sell Trent in 29.
Yeah.
Because after that, you have Everton for Liverpool. And I know that sounds like a good fixture on paper, but in reality, a derby game. Yeah. Like, there's no guarantee that Trent will get any more points than a Hall against who does Hall play? Brentford at home. You know, it's good for attacking returns, that fixture, if nothing else.
Yeah. Okay, some really good things there. I think a quick reminder of chip strategy would be helpful.
Yes.
A lot of people have just concluded their assistant manager, I should say, sorry. I keep calling it attacking manager because I attacked the hell out of that manager.
You really did. Fair play.
Talk us through this.
Yeah, man. So I think the basis of the strategies has not changed too much, but the reality of the world has changed. So let me run you through the game weeks, and some of you guys who are listening may have already watched my chip strategy video that I posted last week. And by the way, I really do recommend it. I don't usually hype up my content too much, but genuinely, I don't think I've not seen a better chip strategy video out there, because I really went to town on that one. I had 3 days to make.
Damn.
To work everything out and all of the ramifications of this, that, and the other. So basically, we've found ourselves in a scenario where, because the Newcastle Palace fixture has dropped into game week 32, that really opens up game week 33 to be a full game week that is purely comprised of any blanks of 34. So teams will blank in game week 34 because of the FA Cup. You can't play the FA Cup and the Premier League games at the same time. There's not enough time. So those fixtures will have to be shifted back one game week. But now that the Crystal Palace Newcastle game is in 32, that opens up 33 to only contain the 33 fixtures. So move all of those fixtures back. So therefore, any team that blanks in 34 because they've progressed in the FA Cup, or their opposition of game week 34 has progressed in the FA Cup, will have their fixtures moved into game week 33. And we're looking at Man City Aston Villa. It's probably the most likely fixture to move from 34 into a double in 33. Then we've got games like Bournemouth versus Manchester United, Newcastle versus Ipswich, creating a double-double for Newcastle there. We've got maybe some other fixtures, but I think it's more difficult to predict the others. So really, we're looking at Man City, could be really nice in 33, but blank in 34. Newcastle, double in 32 and 33, and blank in 34. And we also got Man United and Bournemouth, like I mentioned there as well. So, a decent amount of pretty good teams could actually double in 33 and blank in 34. Of course, in Game Week 34, Liverpool are going to have a game. Arsenal will probably have a game, but not guaranteed. Chelsea are going to have a game there. Spurs are going to have a game there. So if you are free hitting in Game Week 34, unlike last season, where there wasn't really much to choose from, in Game Week 34 on your free hit, Liverpool triple up. They will face, let me just double check, they'll face Spurs. So you can get a Liverpool triple up against Spurs, very nice. You can get maybe some Chelsea players against Everton or Everton players against Chelsea, depending on the form of each team. You'll have Arsenal at home to Crystal Palace, probably. So there's going to be a decent amount to choose from for your free hit in Game Week 34, which is quite nice.
Very much still anti free hit game Week 29. I think
anti?
You.
Oh, yeah, I think so. And I think a big part of that is the potential double-double for Newcastle. Because I don't know. It's not going to be as easy to kind of navigate that, I guess. Because a wild card earlier in 30 to 32 could work really well.
Yeah.
One more note before we actually go to the chip strategies themselves. Game Week 36 and 37 is really techie. Really, really techie, because basically the FA Cup final takes place during the weekend of Game Week 37. So maybe the teams that can't play at the weekend because they're fixture tied for Game Week 37, maybe it moves into the Game Week 37 midweek, but I actually think it's just as likely that the fixtures will move back into Game Week 36, creating a double in 36 for all of the teams that reach the FA Cup final and their Game Week 37 opponents. So maximum 4 teams could blank in 37 and move and have their fixtures move back into Game Week 36, which can cause that issue once again of you want certain players for 36 for their double, but then you don't want them in Game Week 37 when they're going to blank. And again, we're looking at Man City and Bournemouth, the 2 teams most likely to blank in 37 and double in 36.
United possibly as well.
Less likely. But I mean, it's still, I say less likely. It's still like kind of there. It's so difficult to predict. That's this far away.
But we're essentially
I'm really deep in it right now.
Yeah, we're essentially talking about who's likely to reach a final versus who's not, which is just impossible.
It's so difficult. Really. It's so difficult.
So in terms of the chip strategies, obviously, this graphic assumes Assistant Manager has been played. I will talk about that in a moment because there is another great opportunity. But you either free hit in Game Week 29 or you don't, and you have to decide that today.
I agree.
And if you don't, bit of pickle.
Yeah.
Because without planning this period, it's going to be very, very difficult.
You need to commit to free hit in 29 or not.
Yeah. So if you've got 6-7 players from Game Week 29 and you're already finding it very difficult, I think there's probably even a justification to still force that and not free hit in 29.
Yeah, I would take a hit. I'd be happy to take a hit.
Given what you're saying about how difficult blank Game Week 24 or how blank Game Week 24 is going to look in comparison to the double, right? All of your players who blank will double in Game Week 33. So you're going to struggle to navigate that.
And we're talking max 8 teams blanking in 34. Like that's rough.
Yeah.
Really rough.
So strategy 1, you don't do anything. You navigate Game Week 29 without any chips. You wild card after it, either 30 or 31.
Yeah.
And then you have a double game week in 32, which you attack with your wild card and a bench boost in Game Week 33. And then you can free hit out of that in Game Week 34.
Yep.
Following that, you'll land with a decent team. You navigate 36 and 37, however they land. It won't be huge. If they land. They won't be huge blanks or doubles. 4 teams either way.
Yeah, exactly. Maximum. Yeah. Maximum. And it's no guarantee either.
Yeah. Well, Leighton Orient get to the FA Cup final. There you go.
Who knows?
So that's strategy 1. Strategy 2.
Can I just do one quick note on strategy 1 and the wild card? So we've already kind of mentioned, could wildcard 30, could wildcard 31. I think the basic idea is by game week 30 deadline, we will know who blanks in game week 34, but we might not necessarily know have the Game Week 33 double confirmed by Game Week 30. We'll know the teams, but we won't know for sure if they go into 33 or if the Premier League mess about and put some teams elsewhere. So if there is no official announcement by Game Week 30, you could potentially postpone to Game Week 31, by which point we should have an absolute very, very clear idea, 100% of what's going exactly where. So that's why we talk about 30 or 31, because we may not have the exact information we want.
Yeah. I think for me as well, a really fun aspect of pulling a wild card is you're able to take a good punt the week before. Something that you would not normally have in your team, something that doesn't work long term, something that just focuses on the fixture for that week. Pulling it Game Week 30 means you lose that opportunity. Whereas if you pull it in 31, you don't. So that's an interesting one for you to consider there as well.
Yeah, I think, but the only issue with that is now that you can roll transfers through the wild card, I think people will be less inclined to take punts before the wild card anyway. I still quite like the idea. But
I mean, look, you can roll the transfer, but still, it's fun. Not only is it fun, the big risk of pulling punts like this is because of having to stick with the player, right? Sometimes you just want to go after a single thing and say, okay, I want that. Nobody's going to have that, or less people are going to have that. Yeah. Let me try punt it.
Man City against Leicester, for example, in 30 is going to be punt season there.
Exactly. Fertile grounds.
Yes, indeed.
Strategy 2 is a free hit in Game Week 29, blank Game Week 29. Again, you're navigating from 30 to 33 without any chips, and you are bench boosting in 33. I think bench boost 33 is probably the most sort of accepted strategy at the moment. It's so clear.
Yeah, I mean, people will say, oh, okay, but what about bench boost in 36? We don't even know if Game Week 36 is going to be a double. Even if it is, it's going to be a small one. So it's like, meh. Yeah. Meh. And if you are, the other thing is, if you are bench boosting in 36, if 36 is a double, that also means Game Week 37 is a blank for those very same players. So if you're building this team that is great for a bench boost in 36, that means your team is going to be screwed for Game Week 37 if there is that double and blank. So it just doesn't work. Like Game Week 33 is just a bench boost week. Otherwise, you may as well just play it on a regular game week. Yeah.
And like just so many fixtures in that. So definitely a really good opportunity. Then you're wild carding in the blank game week, which is very counterintuitive. But it's necessary because of how difficult it is to manage Game Week 33 with the bench boost and then Game Week 34, which is a big blank game week.
Absolutely, It's not something that any FPL manager, top manager has been thinking about before, wild carding in a blank game week. That's usually like the play where you don't know what you're doing. Isn't it?
Yeah. I'll tell you what's interesting. If anyone else has somehow come up with a strategy around this that does free hit in 29 but doesn't wildcard in 34, do let us know in the comments.
Mate, I've deeped this so much. I don't think there is one.
It just doesn't seem to be.
There is maybe one more, which I'll very quickly gloss over, but it counts on Game Week 36 being a double and Game Week 37 being a blank. What you could potentially do is actually free hit in Game Week 36 instead. So you wild card you still wild card in 34, but then you free hit in 36 instead.
So I'm saying a method that doesn't wild card in 34.
You need to do something in 34.
You need to do something. Well, I mean, I guess, look, there's also the thing of you don't have to go knee deep into double game 33. If you're presumably bench boosting, let's say you bench boost in 32.
Okay, that's more.
So then you don't need to go as aggressive into 33, where you don't have to load up your entire team. It's a strategy. Nobody says it's a good one, but it's a strategy at the end of the day. The final thing that I want to talk about is assistant manager.
Yeah. And triple captain, if people have that.
Yeah. So triple captain, I think 32. If you haven't used it, 32 or 28 are the two standout weeks. We've talked about 28 with Southampton and Salah having a really good fixture, but it's a single game week.
For triple captain, for sure, yeah. Yeah, 28 or 32.
32 on Newcastle's Isaac with Crystal Palace and Man City?
Man United.
I knew he was a man.
Both at home.
Both at home. So definitely another really good opportunity. But double, we know, can have very fruitful assistant manager points, and we've got a double in 32 and 33.
Yeah.
It means you need to find another house for your bench boost, and it probably have to be game week 36. But assistant manager pulled in 31 or even 32, probably better 31, but 32 can also happen. Definitely works. If you're going to pull it in 31, just make sure you wildcard in 30.
Yeah, wildcard 30, that would work. The other option is if you are on a free hit in 29, you could play your assistant manager in 30, which would keep 33 free for a bench boost still. Not as keen as that on that?
No. Assistant manager is just so much more powerful.
No, for sure, but at least you would get one guaranteed double game week out of it, and you still get to play bench boost in 33 if you did want the best of both worlds, rather than full sending one and not the other.
No, I'd full send assistant manager.
You would?
Yeah. The bench boost, you're looking at like a max on a great bench boost, like 20 points.
Nah, that's your target. 20's the target.
No.
I'd say.
Bench boosts fail so many times.
They do, yeah.
You're going to be bench boosting 2 defenders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a goalkeeper that, like, I mean...
and like a Morgan Rogers.
Exactly. It's not going to be like... How many people really land a 30-plus point?
But, like, say you have 4 players, you get 2 points from each for each of the fixtures. That's still 16 points.
Yeah, but
if everyone blanks everyone plays.
But you're not guaranteed 2 points from each.
No, you're not. Particularly from defenders if they concede goals.
From cheap defenders, like you're looking at ones sometimes. I mean, look, there will be some great bench boost out there that lands 50 points, but it's tricky to say, okay, this is a very likely outcome. And I think that's kind of what you're after.
But if you're wildcarding so shortly before, then you definitely have a high potential to really hit a big bench boost. If you're free hitting in game week 29 and you're not wildcarding into the bench boost, then I definitely think that, I'm more open to like playing an assistant manager for the double.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the same setup with the wildcard.
Yeah. Well, one to think about. If you didn't use your assistant manager, commiserations. That's all I've got to say. Let's move on to the forwards, because everyone is in the market for a new... Well, not everyone, but plenty of people are in the market for a new forward. With Isak on some chopping blocks, you know, people still have Gakpo hangovers.
And Die for me.
And Die. There's Chris Wood, who people might want to start to... You probably shouldn't, but Chris Wood, who people might want to start losing because of the fixtures. There's plenty of people who are in the market. And top of the pops is a blanker.
Yeah. I just want to say, Mateta's numbers right now are so good. He's 0.8 XG per start over the past 6 game weeks, which is unreal. The fixtures are really good for him. It's just that blank game week in 29. So if you're free hitting a game week 29, Mateta is your priority. He is the player to get. Like, he is the option. Penalty taker, you know, in great form, great fix. He's got everything. And he's not even that expensive. 7.4 million. That's so affordable. So yeah, Mateta for the free hitters is the one, surely.
If you're not free hitting, do you just skip all the points between now and game week 29?
I mean, it's 2 game weeks.
It's 2 game weeks. So you're not going to have him in game week 30 either.
Yes, true. That is true. And 30 is against Southampton. But
so do you just say, you know what? Yeah, because he won't play one game, I'm just not going to have him in game week 30, game week 29. I'm sorry, because he won't play one game in game week 29, I'm just not going to have him for the 3 great fixtures outside of that.
Well, I think, can you find someone who can do about as good as Mateta in the game weeks around that, and also play in game week 29? Because there are some players who, you know, also have good fixtures, also playing pretty well. You know, we spoke about Wolves and Cunha already. I'd say Cunha's fixtures are just as good as Mateta's. He's in not quite as good form, but you can see him picking up the form now. And
he scored his first goal in like 2 months. He scored his first goal of 2025, didn't he?
No, he scored each of the last 3 game weeks.
Has he?
Yeah. He scored against Villa, scored against Liverpool, and just scored against Bournemouth. And these aren't easy fixtures, by the way.
He did score against Liverpool.
I think Cunha's definitely coming back into it. And I think he's a great alternative to Mateta if you just want to make sure you have a guy in for 29.
I hear it, but Mateta just feels like he's so much of a better option. And Cunha, look, he's brilliant, but the team isn't as good. he's been data busting all season.
Yeah,
Like,
but not so much. He's actually genuinely, for the first time this season, actually putting up decent numbers right now, which is I think the one thing that put me off Cunha before is starting to fade away. So I don't know. Are you really not feeling Cunha then?
I'm not feeling it. I don't know how to place it, but it feels like there's a very clear, obvious transfer that plenty of people should consider, which they aren't because of one game week.
Yeah.
And I understand the transfer value probably isn't translated into that, but is Cunha really going to be as good an option as Mateta over this next 4?
I think Cunha, if we're just looking who will score more points, Cunha or Mateta in 4 game weeks, I will say Cunha.
Wow.
Because that's it's an additional, I guess
fixture.
33% more potential points for Cunha over Mateta.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting one. I think a lot of people basically are going to be picking between these two. There's a few other players to talk about. Is Johan Wissa, who looks like he's really putting up some great numbers. He hasn't been scoring as frequently, but he finally has got on the score sheet.
Yeah. He had 2 goals disallowed as well at game week 26.
Yeah.
No, 5, sorry. As an owner, that was tragic. I just bought him in for that week as well. 2 goals disallowed. I was fuming.
Did you get the assist?
No. No, the assist wasn't given in game week 27 either, which
6.
is 26 either. So Wissa is he is putting up incredible numbers. He is getting desperately unlucky, be that via these slightly off, teammate being offside, or FPL deciding, that's not an assist, even though it clearly is. It's just bad luck, man. And they may not count for FPL points, but in real life terms, they count.
They count in here.
Yeah,
they count in your heart.
It's Wissa, I think, is one of those players that if you play FPL without watching football, you'll just assume Wissa is just bad. But if you actually watch the games, you think, oh man, this could have been huge if the luck was slightly different. Yeah, inches. He's crazy.
Yeah, the fixtures obviously aren't as excellent as we get from Cunha and Mateta.
No.
But they're still reasonable. Everton, decent. It's at home. Villa, decent. It's at home.
Yeah.
Bournemouth, away, tricky. Newcastle, away, tricky.
Yeah, it depends what we think of Bournemouth and Newcastle, though, because, a few weeks ago we would have said, these are really tough fixtures, but both Bournemouth and Newcastle seem to be on a downward trajectory. So by the time we get to them, I wonder if they might be, they're not going to be good fixtures.
Yeah.
But they might be
slightly better
than they look right now, I guess.
Yeah.
Just to play devil's advocate on Wissa there, I suppose. But they're not as good as Cunha.
Definitely one to consider. Obviously, Isak in there, in most people's teams, people are probably either thinking of coming off or not moving.
I think you got to hold him for Ipswich 29.
Yeah, you got to. Chris Wood, who has a brilliant Game Week 29 fixture.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Wood, Ipswich 29.
Got you. So, who does Isak play in Game Week 29? He doesn't play.
Doesn't play?
Yeah. I thought you meant Game Week 30 for a second.
No, sorry.
But, Wood is probably the one that people are also considering keeping, but you're walking into Arsenal and Man City, which isn't the best. But I know what you're going to say again. Neither of these two teams are in the best of forms.
Yeah. So, and with a player like Chris Wood, who doesn't care what the numbers say, doesn't care who the opponents are, he'll just do it anyway. I'm sick and tired of him, if I'm totally honest. But if you
own him,
not anymore. Me selling Wood is what derailed my entire season 2 weeks ago.
Did you not have his hat trick?
No, I sold him. I got a 300k. I went from 100k to 400k just from selling Chris Wood.
Oh my god! That's
and
brutal.
keeping Jackson, who got injured.
Oh, because you shifted around for slot, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I needed to free up some money. I needed to sell one of Wood or Jackson, and sold Wood instead of Jackson. Yeah. Jackson got 1 point and an injury. Wood got a hat trick. That's you can say, Dan, that's a bad decision. You should have kept Wood. It wasn't that bad of a decision for that swing.
You shouldn't get punished that hard. But do you want me to break your heart?
Go on.
So I played Wood for his hat trick, and then I benched him the following week.
He scored, didn't he?
He scored, but I had Gakpo.
Okay.
So I got Wood's 9-pointer.
Yeah.
Which you know what, that red arrow midweek looked brutal. But then Gakpo didn't play, so I was like, you know what? Praise
That's
the Lord.
better.
Occasionally you need the blessings. Haaland's obviously not available. Jackson's not available. Cunha, go ahead.
Hold on Haaland for a second, because the news is reasonably positive that he could be available against Spurs. And certainly going into game week 29 where he faces Brighton, that could be a genuine captain option there. So you probably wouldn't advocate for people buying Haaland this game week because you want to see his injury status first. But I think we should be open to, if you could hold off 1 week before making a forward transfer, I think we should be open to maybe getting him.
Well, I guess with the wild card available, gaming 29 and 30 isn't an awful time to own a player like Haaland.
Yeah, and you could just get rid of him after.
Yeah.
If you're open to, for example, in game week 29, if you're open to selling Palmer, yes, he has a fixture, but it's against Arsenal. You could easily downgrade Palmer, upgrade one of your forwards to Haaland for 29, have Haaland for Leicester in 30, and then wild card out of that in 31. So that could potentially work.
Yeah, I mean, I was even considering selling Salah.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're selling Salah, that would work as well.
Because I mean,
but can you justify that realistically?
yeah, it's a bit mad at it.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I guess Haaland's probably one we'll talk about closer to game week 29.
Yeah.
Beto is an interesting one.
For sure.
Beto is an interesting one. The fixtures probably aren't as good. We're looking, actually, to be fair, the next three are very good.
Yeah, if you're wildcarding 30,
yeah,
then
or even you can bench him in 30.
Yeah, he's so cheap you can.
Yeah, he's been scoring. Everton have looked amazing.
Yeah, they've really improved. They've got like one of the best form. When you look at the form table, like the last 6 game weeks, it's like up there with Liverpool and Arsenal. Even Arsenal's dropped off now, so actually better than Arsenal now. They're just like top 3 for form at the moment among teams. Incredible.
I mean, it's a really interesting one to consider. He obviously smashed it in the double game week. He's basically scored every week. Outside of that, definitely a really strong consideration there. His data isn't brilliant,
but it's one of the better play. It's better than Watkins.
Oh yeah,
it's better than
Marmoush.
Pedro, but technically better than Marmoush. So he's better than a few other players. Raul Jimenez. So it's not like bottom tier, but it's not like incredible, no.
Yeah, I mean, buying Everton to forward just never fills you with confidence, does it? No. And then it kind of gets a little bit ugly after that. I'll fly over Gakpo and Havertz. Not really options in my opinion.
Oh yeah, Havertz is out. That should have an X next to his name because he's out for the season, isn't he?
Oh yeah. Ollie Watkins blanks in 29, so not really a consideration. Vardy, not really sure. People are talking about Marmoush though.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one because he had a goal disallowed against Liverpool.
Great goal as well.
Yeah, I thought he had a good game. I thought, he really... Liverpool defended well, but there was a few chances where it looked like Marmoush might be able to break through, and it was him. He was the guy. If anyone was going to break through that Liverpool team, it was going to be Marmoush. So he looks, whether he's playing as the striker, whether he's playing on the wing, he's passing the eye test, certainly.
Dropped a hat-trick recently as well.
Yeah, of course. Set pieces as well, which is really useful.
Your main striker taking corners is just woke nonsense. Can't be having that.
Yeah, it's like throwback to Harry Kane taking corners, isn't it? Unreal.
Ridiculous.
But he's like a set-piece specialist. Like across Europe, only Salah is, had more goal contributions this season. He's the real deal.
Dodgy data that.
Is it?
Yeah.
What do you think? Farmers League, Bundesliga?
No, because you can't. It's not Farmers League, but different team. Like,
he's playing for a better team now.
No, but I feel like you can't pull in data like that from different teams and
Why not?
I feel it's wrong. I think it's wrong. I think it's morally wrong. I think it's ethically wrong. I think it's FPL wrong.
I don't know. I feel like people in FPL focus too much on the form only in the Premier League and just ignore every other competitions. And I feel like other leagues count as other competitions. So,
to me, like players changing leagues, a lot of time you have to kind of redline what happened before that and take the player as they are. And in fairness, as he is, he's brilliant. But I would be a little bit concerned about sort of placing him as that good option just yet.
I would agree with you about disregarding the Bundesliga data if he had come into Man City and looked poor, but he absolutely hasn't.
He does look great.
He look good. I think he is much riskier than Cunha. Much riskier. You don't know where he's going to play on the pitch. You don't know if he is even guaranteed a start. But to be fair, Man City are only in the FA Cup and the Premier League now. So that's probably good for Marmoush's minutes.
And De Bruyne just hasn't looked good. He's even getting benched for the bigger games.
Yeah.
We have spent a lot of time here. Let's move on and fly through midfielders really quickly, because a lot of people are looking to sell some of their midfielders also.
Yeah.
Particularly me, with Gordon and Rodgers, for example. Top of the pops is Minter, 0.8 XGI. Brighton have had a really, really good run of form.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty high on the form chart as well.
They are.
Is this one you'd consider?
I don't think so. I think the fixtures for Brighton are so sort of, I guess, average. Bournemouth, Fulham, Man City, Aston Villa. They play Crystal Palace in 31 as well. If you needed someone for that long. It's not quite Southampton, Chelsea, who are badly out of form. The game before that, Brighton got smashed 7-0 by Forest, lost 1-0 to Everton. And before that, they played against Man United and Ipswich. So I wonder if playing Southampton and Ipswich in the last 6, as well as Man United and Chelsea, who have been so badly out of form recently, has kind of skewed their numbers a little bit, which is why I'm not really looking at Minter or Mitoma personally, but maybe some people are.
Really quick look at Mbeumo. Despite some really strong green arrows over this last few weeks, I hate to consider how much higher I would be right now if I went Mbeumo over Gordon.
Well, you say that. It's only really game week 26 where he got the big points.
He got big points in 26. He got big points in game week 24.
23, he got 7-pointer. Outside of that, he's blanked. He's blanked 4 out of 6.
24, 25?
24, 25 blanks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where was the big one? There was another big one recently.
Game week 20 against Southampton, he got 19 points.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had Gordon basically from that week. So I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of a recency bias, but he's probably top of the shopping list at the moment for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's just the data is so good. When your data is as good as Erling Haaland, Erling Haaland, Mo Salah, that says a lot. The next fixtures, we spoke about Whistler's fixtures, how, they are maybe slightly better than they look. When you're a player like Mbeumo, even in the tougher fixtures, he's one of the more fixture-proof players. We've seen him score against Chelsea and Newcastle this season, for example. Spurs as well. You can say what you like about these kind of teams. Scored against Arsenal, of course. How can I forget? Crystal Palace a few weeks ago. He should be reasonably fixture-proof, and his data is incredible. So, particularly as Brentford often line up with him as one of the strikers, as part of a 2-man front two in the tougher fixtures. So, Mbeumo should, if you don't have him, I think most people probably do, should be on the shopping list, if nothing else. Yeah.
There's probably a little bit of a drought after this, because we have Mo Salah, who everyone has. Ahmad and Madueke somehow top there, because probably how the data's set out here. But after that, it's Cole Palmer, very cold. Bruno Fernandes, Elanga, Enzo, who's suddenly become a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, his data was massively inflated by basically scored an open goal last game week. So, take that one with a small pinch of salt.
Garnacho, not really in favour. Szoboszlai playing a deeper role, although he has been okay. Odegaard, you don't really want to touch Arsenal's attack right now. Savinho, not really minutes secure.
Yep.
And then you come to a couple of Bournemouth forwards with Dango and Kluivert in between Foden.
And by the way, Evan Nilsson was back on the bench.
Yeah,
this week.
That's what I was just going to say. Dango, I think the fun has stopped soon.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd buy him anymore.
Yeah.
But it's not someone I would sell.
Yeah.
Certainly. I think Evan Nilsson's probably 1 or 2 game weeks off an actual start. So he's still good for him for now. But if you're looking slightly longer term, then Dango's probably not your man.
Foden is an interesting one. I don't think he's high up in the shopping list. But of all the names I've listed, he's probably the more likely one to consider.
Do I think his performances have dipped a little bit in the last few weeks?
He's not been good.
No.
He's not been good. He hasn't been good for any stretch this whole season.
We had a little run, didn't he?
He had like 2 game weeks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not been brilliant, but the fixtures are decent, particularly after Game Week 20, particularly from Game Week 29, I should say. But I would rather have a Foden over most of these other players right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's maybe like an idea where you keep Palmer for 27, 28 against the Southampton and Leicester, and then maybe 29 you move Palmer to Foden if you have the luxury of being able to make transfers removing playing players from 29. If you're on free hit 29, Foden looks good for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. The data's not really there. The eye test is not really there. I don't think I'd jump quite yet.
So, outside of Mbeumo, who would you want to prioritize on this list?
Buying right now?
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? I don't really know. If you haven't got Palmer, I would...
Assume you have Palmer. Most people have Palmer.
Okay, fine. Sim, I don't know, mate. I'm stuck.
That's the thing.
I'm stuck.
Bruno is what you're left with.
Yeah.
Realistically.
And he plays Leicester in 29, by the way, so it could be quite nice. But I don't...
He scored from a, 0.1 XG chance or something silly like that in Game Week 26?
Free kick, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, free kick. Well taken free kick, to be fair, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, still, doesn't fill you with joy.
Eze has the same fixtures as Mateta. Obviously, he's a blanker.
Yeah, if you're free hitting 29, maybe, now that he's available. I mean, he is on this list, so, you know, he makes the top 20.
He's a player.
Yeah, he plays footy, which is a good start.
All right.
I'm struggling, man.
Let's move on. I think it's tricky. We'll probably talk about this a little bit more when we're talking about our teams, because I've got a similar conundrum where I need to offload 2 midfielders. Let's have a quick chat about captaincy, because Mr. Cole Palmer has Southampton at home, and he's top of the predictions in terms of points.
Yeah, Fantasy Football Hub have him in first for predicted points. And by the way, Cole Palmer is the 4th most sold player ahead of Game Week 27.
Wow.
Honestly, it makes you look at your rank and think, whatever my rank is right now, it should be better. If there are hundreds of thousands of people out there selling Cole Palmer before Southampton. Did you catch any of the game against Villa?
I caught the first half.
I would say Palmer was pretty unlucky not to get something out of that game.
Positionally, it was weird though. It was definitely a positional change.
The whole positional thing is weird because they don't have a striker.
Yeah, like obviously Neto was up front, wasn't he? Palmer was like playing off the right, but not really off the right. Like he wasn't like hugging the touchline, and the right back was sort of patrolling that whole zone. Pedro Neto should have been there, obviously, but he was playing up front, and Enzo was sort of playing in a 10, quite advanced as well, which is why people are talking about Enzo. But Cole Palmer has a relatively free role, no matter where he plays.
Yeah, very
like,
much so.
He will dominate those central areas, and he had some really good chances. But Chelsea don't look right. Chelsea have looked bad against a lot of these lower league opposition.
I just felt they were a little unlucky against Villa. I don't know. I think it was down to individual mistakes. Like Jorgensen should have saved. I can't remember who scored that goal. It must have been Asensio because he scored both.
He got brace, yeah. But to be fair, both goals they were a bit ragtag goals.
The other one was that probably maybe a Gusto mistake there as well. So it's like individual errors.
Yeah.
And Palmer had that shot which wasn't cleared off the line, but the defender got behind the goalkeeper and managed to clear the shot. He had another really good chance to score as well in that game. Created a little bit as well. I think the points don't look good recently for Palmer. He's got 1 assist in 5 game weeks, and that's it. It's not great.
Are you brave enough to captain him?
I don't know if I am, to be honest, mate. I don't know if I am.
Salah is on a unprecedented tear.
He's a freak.
Like,
he's stupid.
Never in the Premier League has this kind of run been seen.
What is even happening?
I think it's like 11 or 12 games where he's got a 11 or 12 games where he's got a goal and an assist, at least.
I was looking at this earlier. You know, he's got, 16 assists? Is it 16 assists? From 6 expected assists?
He's doing a Watkins.
Yeah, but the thing is, And he is doing a Watkins. But one of the reasons why Watkins ended up getting so many assists because he kept getting fouled for penalties, which don't count for the expected assists, but do count for the actual assists if the penalties are converted.
But not for Salah.
But that's not even a case for Salah.
So he's just... And who's he setting up? That's my confusion.
This is it. It's just that every time that Salah passes the ball...
They just bang in.
When Trent passes them the ball, they'll miss. But if Salah passes the ball, they will just automatically score. What's going on? It's crazy.
The amount of times he's somehow just the guy who passed it is crazy.
Like Jota the other week. Very greedy, clinical player, gets one-on-one with the goalkeeper and decides to square it to Salah for a tap-in. Like, when has that ever happened before? Salah has just found a way. I don't know what kind of, maybe some kind of prayer circle that's just like sitting in his bedroom every night with candles all around him, praying to someone who might not be the God we would expect him to pray to get these returns, but he's on another level right now, and it's so difficult to bet against him, even when Palmer has so obviously the better fixture.
I think it's very interesting. I don't know. Salah obviously is on a crazy run, but he still occasionally doesn't do crazy stuff.
When?
Maybe like twice this season. You know what I mean?
That's not good odds.
But look, it's at a certain point, I think, in the same way that there's these opportunities that creep up, this has to be considered an opportunity. You've got, despite Cole Palmer's form, you've got one of the best players in the Premier League playing one of the worst opponents in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Who almost always give a double-digit return to the best player in the opposing team.
Yeah, and that's so true.
And
Palmer is a flat-track bully as well.
Like, in the same way that people went for Isak this week, it worked, it just didn't end up benefiting you because Salah also returned well.
But I think this is the problem. We speak about, okay, we have an opportunity here. We've got a good player like an Isak or an Burmo last week or Palmer this week who has a really good fixture. They're a good player. They can do something well. And that in previous seasons would have been a great opportunity. But you're not just looking to see who is going to do well, but you're also going to say, is Salah going to do bad? Yeah. And that you cannot count on anymore.
Yeah. I'm gonna be tempted by this. I don't know if
I think you will.
I don't know if I'll pull the trigger, but this is extremely tempting.
I hope you do. For all of the people out there who aren't brave enough, I hope you represent the people who their ideal versions of themselves would do it, but they just cannot bring themselves to do it. Like me, I would love to do it, but I can't.
I am there for you guys. Right here. Gameweek 27, a couple of you still might be on assistant manager. Should we quickly fly over this?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Do you want to go for it?
Yep. So Oliver Glasner, the GOAT of Gameweek 26, is playing another opposition where he will be eligible for table bonus. Predicted at 10.3 points, which is a quite high prediction. That's basically saying they are very likely to at least draw.
Yeah, kind of. It's factoring in the chances of a win and a draw and a loss there and averaging it out there at around 10.3, which is still really good odds. Home against Villa, it's not a bad fixture.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I do think that I would go for this if I still had it. Villa don't look brilliant. Like, I mean, they won against Chelsea, but I mean...
But just. Down to individual mistakes.
It was a bit ragtag, wasn't it? And, you know... Palace just look really good right now. Wolves, another consideration, also eligible for table bonus against Fulham at home. 9.5 predicted points there. Enzo Maresca, don't do it to yourself. There's no point. Southampton at home. Southampton definitely going to score. They'll probably win 1-0.
It'd be like Arteta all over again.
Exactly. I'm going to be crying because of my Cole Palmer 1-pointer. Just don't do it to yourself. You have to go for a table bonus manager.
Yeah. And the other table bonus manager that I think people talk about is Ange Postecoglou for Spurs against Man City at home. Obviously, Spurs are Man City's bogey team, and it's a home fixture, so you always are open to Spurs getting the result there. Particularly, Spurs are kind of on the up, and Man City's still not quite there in terms of form. Possible. It's possible.
Yeah. Only final one is Southampton against Chelsea, which again would not really be considering.
No.
Is there any sort of banco wins in here?
No.
Not really, right?
No, not really. Yeah, it's like Maresca
it's
or
just Chelsea,
Slot.
isn't it? Yeah.
Or maybe Slot against Newcastle.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a banker, but it's probably the most likely outcome.
I think if you're still on an assistant manager and you're making a switch, it's got to be to a table bonus team this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Palace or Wolves. That's the verdict.
Yeah.
Moving on to differential of the week. Look who's done it again.
Yeah.
It's only 30 points, Daniel.
Yes, it's the margin is shrinking. It really is. Yeah, I mean, I went for Marlon last week in the hope that Watkins would be injured, so Marlon would play at striker. Unfortunately, Watkins somehow played 90-90 in the double game week. This was game week 25, by the way, guys, because we missed last week's episode. So that didn't work. But hey, at least I went for a 0.1% differential, which I think is a small win in itself. And I think I deserve bonus points for that, actually.
Well, here's what I say. Because we didn't record in game week 25, I think that the game week because we didn't record in game week 26, I think our game week 25 picks should be extended through that. And I think I deserve Rashford's points from game week 26, which I think was almost a 10-pointer. And you also deserve Marlon's blank.
Yeah, and if you said that before you decided to go on a little holiday, leaving all of our lovely viewers in the dark, then maybe I would have had some sympathy for you there and said, yeah, you know what, fine, well, we can roll on another week. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So we both get 0 for game week 26.
That's very unfortunate. I think this is part of a long-term ruse to ensure that I don't catch you by taking a game week off me. Who have you picked for game week 27?
I have picked Pedro Neto. I think if I'm going for a new Chelsea midfielder this week, or a new Chelsea player in general, assume you have Palmer, you want a second Chelsea player, I think Neto would genuinely be the player I'd probably go for right now. He's got a return in each of his last 3, so he's coming in with a little bit of form, which is always quite nice to see. Southampton at home is the fixture. Actually, against Aston Villa, 0.55 XG, 0.5 XA. So it wasn't just this, he did get an assist, but there was also some attacking potential there as well. Oh, actually, no, he blanked in 25, sorry, actually. But, 2 returns in 3 is still decent. It's good for Chelsea standard at the moment, which is not particularly high. So, yeah, I think he could be a really interesting shout. 6.2 million. Good for minutes. No one's going to take his position off him. I quite like Pedro Neto.
It's decent. I've gone for a player who's not in form, who is playing for a team not in form, who hasn't scored in about 10 million years in the Premier League.
I don't think he's scored since playing for Leipzig, has he?
not in the league anyway, but he's smashing it everywhere else by the looks. I'm pretty sure at one point he was Chelsea's top goal scorer, just never played in the league.
Yeah, because he's playing like FC Karabaj or whatever the team's names are.
But he plays Southampton at home, so screw it. Let's see what happens. 2.2% owned. I'm hoping he's going to play. He's actually predicted by the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm to be the 3rd best captain option. Yeah. So something must give. And I'm hoping for some returns. Because if he smashes FC Marmoush, Southampton ain't that far much better.
That's so true.
Let's true. Quickly take a look at how we done in game week 26 or 5.
6.
This is 26.
Yeah, skip 25.
Yeah. So I have had my 3rd solid green arrow. This green arrow hasn't been as good.
Yeah, because you had a really good game week 25 that we missed.
Yeah.
Right?
So I had a good game. I had a great game week 24, 132 points. Had a great game week 25, 100 and something points.
You were rank 1 millionth last time we did a show.
Yeah.
Now you're 400k. When did this happen?
I have absolutely nailed my assistant manager.
Yeah.
So I went for Moyes for 22 points, then went for Emery for about 15 or 14, whatever he got.
Yeah.
And then I switched to Glasner.
Man.
And I got 20 points off Glasner.
Big.
And if it wasn't for Glasner, I probably would have had a mean red arrow because my actual team didn't do very well at all this week.
Yeah.
Considering I got 65 points out of them.
Yeah, because you got 20 points from Glasner in game week 26, so 65 for the rest of the guys.
Yeah, which is basically all of it is Salah and Isak and Trent.
Yeah, because you got no Munoz, no Mbermo. There was a few players who went crazy this week, wasn't there?
Yeah, Munoz and Mbermo, Hall,
Cunha. Wissa, if they count.
Yeah, Cunha, Wissa. I'm pretty sure, what's his name? Mateta scored as well.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those guys. My guys just didn't do it. Gordon somehow blanking in a 4-3. I mean, at least get like an own goal. Like, how are you blanking in a 4-3? Do something, mate.
Yeah.
Dango hasn't been brilliant this week, but he did get a goal for me, I think, in the last 2 game weeks some point. But yeah, I mean, can't knock it.
No, man. The green arrow's a green arrow.
Yeah. So relatively happy. Quickly looking at what I'm lining up with. I should probably have read out my team for the audio listeners, but I'll read it out now. Raya in goal, Trent Timber and Castagna starting this time round. Cole Palmer, you've given him the captain, but I'm guessing this is because it's the optimized version of my team.
I just give you the optimized team.
And you know what? You're probably not far off. Mo Salah, Dango, and Gordon, who has actually become Mbermo.
You already done it?
I've done it.
Oh, you know what? I rate it. Yeah, I think that was the play.
It had to be done.
Yeah.
And then I've got Isaac, Wood, and Gakpo.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what you were going to do with Gakpo, Rodgers.
So,
what are you thinking?
I don't know the full prognosis on Rodgers. I know something came out last night. I haven't had the chance to look at it yet. But there is some prognosis on Rodgers. I'm pretty sure Athletic posted about it, actually.
I'd
But
find out now whilst you talk.
Gakpo is back, hasn't started, but is back. I'll be concerned about his start in game week 27.
Yeah.
So depending on how Rodgers is, I might have to start Rodgers. But it's not the best having to pick between 2 players who are likely to not start. Particularly because it's a midweek fixture as well. I definitely want to keep Gakpo because I know he's going to start in game week 28 for that Southampton fixture because I had some words with Honest Lot.
Oh, you did?
I did. But I'm not completely against losing Rodgers for a hit this week. If only there was a player who I could buy, but there's none. Minter, it might have to be.
Well, you're going to take a hit to get Minter in.
Yeah. It's not sexy, is it?
No, you got 1.3 in the bank though. Now that your assistant manager's gone.
With Mbermo, I got 0.8.
Oh, what about putting your money where your mouth is with a little cheeky punt on a young RB Leipzig man who hasn't scored in a million years?
You know what? That would actually be fun. But I'd have to balance my risk with a Salah captaincy if I did that.
Yeah, no, that would be totally valid.
Yeah,
totally valid.
Yeah. But you know what? That's not awful. I'd probably be more likely to pick Neto.
Pretty awful. Nah, that's. Why did you pick Nkunku as your differential of the week?
Because I pick differentials with a different mindset. My mindset when picking differentials is about what is the most fun option here. But Neto is the better option than Nkunku. Based on most things.
You should have picked him then, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So you're thinking maybe a Rodgers move?
I'm probably not going to do it. But if there was a clear option that I liked, I would do it. I haven't taken a hit in ages at this point.
You're going to have to take... The thing is, you are going to have to take a hit for 29 regardless.
No, I'm not.
Looking at your team.
No, I'm not.
Well, you've got one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, including a Coley.
So, including who?
A Coley on your bench.
Okay, so... Oh, damn. I forgot about Okoli. Damn.
Yeah. So you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to take a hit regardless.
Ooh, but yeah, I mean, that hit... Okay.
You don't have to. You can play with 10 if you want.
That's one to think about, because you have made me think about Trent.
Yeah. We don't need to sell Trent right now.
Yeah. And if I sell Trent, I have a lot more places to go compared to if I sell Rodgers. So if I bench Rodgers, Isaac, and Salah...
Yeah.
Deal with Okoli and Trent because I've needed to sell defenders.
If you bench Isaac, Okoli and Salah, would you say Isaac, Okoli and Salah?
No, I said Isaac, Rodgers and Salah. But
yeah, that's going to mean
that's
you're playing 5 at the back.
Yeah, that means that gets ugly as well.
Yeah,
I need to think about this a little bit more because in my head I was going to bench Isaac, Salah, and Trent,
and do a little 4-4-2 team,
and do a 4-4-2 team. But Okoli is a problem. Well, no, that would have had to be a 5-4-2, 5-3-2, whatever that works out to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one to reconsider. I'm gonna sell Gakpo in 29. I'm gonna sell Rodgers in 28, or was going to. But in the meantime, it's just gonna be in Burma, and I'll have to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Let's take a look at your team.
Wait. Oh. One more thing. Timber. Worried about Ben White?
he's so far from the problems that I have that it's just like I'm gonna have to just work my way through until I wildcard. I've got 2 other defenders that need to go.
You know you can still free hit in Game Week 29 if you want to. Are you really against that?
I'm not really against it, but it's become uglier. I've decided that I'm not going to free hit in 29.
Fair enough.
But like, to be fair, selling Gordon means I'm no longer doing
it. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so Green Arrow for me, no big Glasner, but I did get a slot 10 pointer, which was relieving if nothing else. 89 points in the end, mostly because of having Mbermo, having Wissa was pretty useful, but I have triple Bournemouth and I just brought in Dango for Game Week 26 as well. So super frustrating to see like that red card in the first half completely derailed that game and ended up with 3 players just destined to blank in my starting 11. Super frustrating. I was kind of grateful that a lot of other players were able to bail me out. Interestingly, I had Hall starting ahead of Trent until the deadline day. But like because I put Trent on the bench in my videos, and then I went on my stream as well, and I posted on Twitter, and everyone told me you are an idiot for playing Hall, and like I was close between the 2 players anyway. Yeah. So it's not. There was a chance I would have played Trent ahead of Hall anyway, but because so many people are like, Dan, you absolute idiot, why on earth are you playing Hall? No, I kind of just went, okay, fair enough. But 3 points difference is not really the end of the world. It's minor at the end of the day.
Even with hindsight, you would have been an idiot for doing it.
Yeah, would I though? I don't know, because I was tight. I thought it was close. The other people thought that it was clear. I thought it was kind of close. No, it wasn't close.
That would have been a bit mad.
Yeah,
and even then, like you lost out on 3 points. It is what it is. Fine. I think Kirkers and Hall was a lot closer.
No, I was always playing Kirkers against Wolves. There was no way I was changing. So, I can't even say, I lost 8 points by going Kirkers over Hall. I was always going for Kirkers, so I can't really complain about that one. But a few disappointments, but in the end, 89 points, a green arrow, which is very much needed. Try and get back into the ranks where I want to be. Still probably going to take me a couple of weeks to really get there, but the recovery is on, hopefully. And the plan is there. So if we move on to Game Week 27, I'm getting towards a good place because I don't really have too many blanking players anymore. So I have Trent on a blank, Salah on a blank, Isak on a blank, Hall on a blank, and I guess Ndai because he's like injured. So that's 5 players, and I can bench 3, and I have 3 transfers on the others. So I can actually get to 12 playing players if I wanted to.
Can I have one?
No, unfortunately not. Wait, actually, which one? You can have Castagna.
I already have Castagna.
I have another. Have another.
I'll take...
I can have Palmer as well against Arsenal.
I'll take Vissa.
Yeah, fine. No, because I might even transfer out Wissa as well because I'm kind of feeling in a pretty luxury position. I won't do it this week, but in 29, I could potentially actually go all in on 29 and maximise how good. It depends how good Bournemouth are by that time. But the planning... Maybe I've taken a few red arrows. I haven't changed my assistant manager through the whole run, which has cost me a few points. But I'm hoping that by planning, I'm not going to need to take a hit and I can optimize for Game Week 29 without any hits, chips needed, which is nice. So hopefully all of the bad things that have happened in my FPL team recently, finally, they serve a purpose, and this is the very purpose, right?
I feel like I'm closing in on you, man.
Yeah, but that's,
I feel like I'm closing in on you.
You haven't planned like I have.
Listen,
you haven't planned the.
Everyone has a plan until. What's the Mike Tyson version of this that's FPL relevant?
I don't know. I was thinking more like the tortoise and the hare. Slow and steady wins the race. Oh, you've gone full hare in the last few weeks.
Listen,
fair enough. You made some ground, but the
tortoise will eventually win.
Yeah.
But listen, look, I'll be what 4 maybe 8 points behind you if I take a couple of hits. Like we could recover that. But no, yeah. I think you've been unlucky largely because of slot, because where you've lost has been where I've gained. Because
it's the draws.
It's the draws against Everton and Villa is where I've picked up the points. Those points don't come in if, I don't know, some very small things happen.
Yeah, even if one of those games was the other way around, then we're looking at a very different story.
Like
But
9-point swings for Everton, stuff like that.
huge
But,
swings.
yeah, so no, I think you're definitely in a much better position. I don't know if I would be losing Vissa. I think he's definitely one to keep. But other than that, I mean, maybe you'd want to. Maybe if you want to be luxury, lose a Gabriel.
Well, this is what I'm thinking right now. I don't think I'm going to lose Gabriel no matter what. I just don't feel there's too much value in spending transfers on defenders if I don't have to. I've already got 3 defenders who play in Game Week 29. So just go through my team. I've got Pickford, Trent, Gabriel, Kirkes, and in the midfield we've got Palmer, Salah, and Burmo, Dango, and Cliver, and up front Isak and Wissa. Got Castagna and Hall on the bench, and then Dye, who's injured. And I'm feeling if I'm gonna make a transfer this week, it's gonna be to remove and Dye, and it will be to probably Cunha, and then that would take me down to what? Like 10 players for Game Week 29 done. And then I have the Game Week 28 and 29 transfers. And then by that point, you know, I may be thinking Wissa to Marmoush in 29. So I don't have Wissa against Bournemouth. And then maybe have Marmoush for Brighton and Leicester, something like that. Or the alternative is, you know, keep an eye on Dango and Cliver, what their situation is. And if one of them is looking weaker, then sell them. Because I've got money in the bank. I've got transfers to spend. I think probably and die to Cunha is what I'll do. And then maybe bench one of Dango and Cliver. It's luxury, but I think Cunha's probably slightly better than those guys this week.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I get it. I don't know.
Should I just roll?
I think it feels like a roll.
It does feel like a roll.
It's a good team. It's a very good team.
And need Bournemouth to pull something out against Brighton.
Yeah, but even if they don't, like, there's got so much good around it.
Maybe.
Like, double Brentford, triple Bournemouth, like, it's pretty strong goal-scoring teams. I think possibly roll. Cunha is one that it feels fun this week. Like, not having one of Cunha or Mateta this week doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
But who do you bench again? One
of Dango or Cliver.
Yeah. It could just burn, man. It could just backfire.
It really could, yeah.
But
I'm maybe playing with a little bit of fear here.
Yeah.
With no Cunha, because I think a lot of people are going to have Cunha this week.
Yeah.
And that scares me a lot.
Well, I mean, would you force in Cunha to my team?
I would consider it, yeah.
For
Gakpo. Because if Gakpo isn't quite available to play this week, then you could, he has another bench appearance.
But then you lose out on Southampton.
Yeah, you do, but like, I mean, who's really going to be scoring against Southampton? Is it going to be Gakpo or is it going to be Salah?
Gakpo.
Maybe.
It's going to be Gakpo.
It's going to be everyone, let's be real.
Alisson,
yeah.
back post.
Yeah.
It's a complicated one. I think a lot of people are probably going to do it, but I think for those people it makes sense. Most people did it last week, in fairness. I ended up keeping Gakpo last week. I could have hit him out last week if I wanted to.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right this week, but you have a think as well. I don't know. Double Bournemouth against Brighton, like, to sell that, you're not going to sell it to bench it, but like to make that move doesn't feel like the most optimal way of using your transfers.
It's tricky. But yeah, okay, maybe I roll then. I really can't decide. I guess I'll figure it out by the time we hit the deadline, which is very soon, as people listen and watch.
To be fair, you might even listen to this after the deadline.
Why? Actually, shout out anyone watching after the deadline. Like, yeah,
let us know.
Let us know in the comments.
We just enjoy hearing us talk.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for watching. Please do make sure that you follow us on all the platforms and YouTubes and all whatnot. Follow me on Twitter. I'm trying to hit 1,554 followers.
Lofty targets.
You know how we do. One follower at a time. Do follow Dan's socials as well.
Don't bother.
He's got a half decent YouTube channel. A couple people on there. Talks about FPL sometimes. Sometimes. And he obviously does his deadline streams and whatnot. But yes, that is all we have time for today. I was going to say that's all for today and then change my mind.
Well, both work. Yeah, we appreciate you guys watching today. Once again, sorry we missed last week's episode, but we're back now. Everything's good in the hood. And looking forward to many more episodes. So good luck for Game Week 27. And before we leave, a quick word from Sim, who is going to give us some wisdom of the week. It's coming, guys. I'm sorry for the dead air. It's coming. He's making some faces.
Pigeon isn't a pigeon in the hand is better than two in the bush.
Pigeon in the hand. Bird in the hand.
Is it bird?
Yeah. Well, pigeon is a
Pigeon
bird.
is a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But play what's in front of you is my point.
Don't.
Thank you, guys. Catch you next time.